all in studio with you today. And thank you, as always, for making us a part of your morning this morning. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. I'm sure it didn't last long enough. Weekends never do. But there was a lot of things that came from the weekend that we're going to discuss this morning. Obviously, with the Arkansas Razorback performance against LSU and another loss at home in Bud Walton Arena, making that four home losses, Bud Walton Arena. It's unheard of, but that's what you're sitting at right now. We'll discuss that. We'll also get into some of the NFL playoffs now that the conference championship games have been set. And I don't know if you knew this, but the biggest shock in probably all of it is that the New England Patriots are in the AFC title game. So I don't think
8 times in a row?
Yeah, I don't think anyone saw that coming. I mean, really big surprise.
Maybe we can spend some time later in the show comparing their domination in their sport to what Alabama has done. I think the Patriots, on paper, are clearly more dominant. Maybe we'll discuss that. But what they're doing is pretty amazing, even though I don't think any of us would classify this as like the best season the Patriots have ever had or the best team the Patriots have ever had. But here they are again in the quote-unquote Final Four,
This seems like every year it's like, maybe this will be the year they finally drop off. Maybe they finally get old. Maybe they finally suck.
Nope. Fountain of Youth, they found it.
Yep.
Tom Terrific.
Yeah. I mean, that's why he is considered the greatest of all time.
I mean, Saban's like the greatest ever in college, but Belichick might be the greatest football coach ever at any level.
And that will be the ongoing discussion that everybody will have. Hey, is it more about Tom or is it more about Bill? Who's really the one here that's driving this bus?
You got to beat them both.
I know. It's like a bad combination.
Got to beat them both, and that's what the Chargers couldn't do yesterday.
Yeah, so we'll talk about a lot of those players. Plus, the other thing I want to get into, and this is just something we can discuss again later in the show too, is Cowboy fans that are out there. I'm not a Cowboy fan, and
are you a Cowboy hater?
I wouldn't say I'm
are you indifferent?
I wouldn't say I'm a hater. I'm more just I enjoy seeing meltdowns from Cowboy fans, and I also enjoy when I get around those Cowboy fans that talk about we're America's team and yada yada yada. I'm like, okay, you've won 3 playoff games since like 1996. Chill out. All right, you're not as great as what you think.
Has it been that many?
I think it's been 3, including the one in this year's playoffs. So
all right.
I don't know. It's not been many.
It's not been many.
So, but my point is like the amount of people that were coming out that wanted to fire Jason Garrett. Just fire him. It's over. We're tired of this. I honestly, truly, and this is me wanting to know, just my curiosity, if you're a Cowboys fan, why do you want to fire Jason Garrett so bad? You guys lost to the Los Angeles Rams, who is one of the best teams in the NFL, at their place, and it was a pretty close game. You at least were in position to maybe at least tie it late. You lost by 8 points, but why is Jason Garrett the guy you want to get rid of? I'm just curious because maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing something that a lot of people don't see, but that's also something I want to ask a lot of Cowboys fans that we want to get into. And just why do you hate Jason Garrett so much? I feel like there's a lot of coaches out there in a lot of situations.
Because the next coach you don't even know who it would be is always better than the coach you've got when things aren't going well.
That's true. Because I'm sure
it's like the next quarterback. It's like the next anything, right?
Yeah. I'm sure they'll think that they'll hire Nick Saban or something like that, and then everything will be okay. So,
right.
But, yeah, there's a lot of storylines to get to from the NFL playoffs over the
There's probably
weekend.
just as many delusional Cowboy fans that think Belichick would leave New England to come to Dallas.
Well, it's amazing how just fan bases in general.
Arkansas has that faction of our fan base.
Yeah, not all of them, but there's a good.
There are some that think like
John
Urban
Gruden.
Meyer will, if it doesn't work out with Chad Morris, Urban Meyer would come out of retirement and come to. I mean, those kind of what I consider delusional thoughts.
Well, it's just like the whole.
So I'm sure the Cowboys have that 5 or 10% of the fan base that let's get rid of Jason Garrett and go hire Belichick.
Oh, well, if it's that easy, let's just. Can't believe you didn't done it already. But it's never that easy. Yeah. There's always more going into it as well. So, but the thing that obviously a lot of Razorback fans were up in arms about, and rightfully so, was the game against LSU over the weekend in Bud Walton Arena. They lost in overtime by a final score of 94-88. Very high-scoring affair, especially in the first half, where Arkansas found themselves down 50-42 at halftime. Down by 8 points. They gave up 50 points to LSU. Arkansas did manage to climb back into the game, especially late, by tying it up. But at the end of the day, Arkansas could not get the victory. And free throw shooting, 17 of 28 for the Razorbacks, 60%. Is the thing that lots of people point to, considering that LSU went 18 of 22 and made 81%.
What's going on with the home floor edge, or the lack thereof? I mean, this is 2 in a row now
4 total.
at Bud Walton Arena. But as you pointed out on Twitter, and anyone that can count to 4 can get there, this is 4 this year at Bud Walton. They don't lose 4 in a year. And I would say they're not done losing at home.
No.
I mean, what is up with this?
It's weird. It's not something you'd ever fathom. I mean, how does wait, hold on a second. You're telling me this team went on the road to Colorado State, which Colorado State's not a good team, but it's on the road. And they won by over 20 points. Mm-hmm. Tell me they went
basketball.
In basketball. Yeah, not in football. Had a 20-point lead, but we knew what happened to that. But this team also goes on the road to Texas A&M and wins.
Yeah.
But yet you lose to Western Kentucky, you lose to Georgia Tech. I mean, in fact, I know it wasn't a road game, it was a neutral site game, but in your very first game of the season, you go on the road technically to Texas and played a really great game. If you just made a couple free throws, you win it. So it's like, had the role switched here?
I mean, it's not exclusive to Arkansas that road teams are having success on visiting floors. I mean, we've seen the record early on. SEC road teams are winning at a much higher percentage than previous years. I don't have an answer. You know, we were talking with Matt Moscona last week. Was that Friday? I guess we were doing that ahead of this game to preview it. And he was as perplexed by that as anyone. It doesn't make sense, some of the results we're seeing. So I don't know how this falls in, but Bud Walton has always been considered one of the hardest places in the Southeastern Conference to go win a basketball game. And certainly some of the shines come off of this. Now, the scanned tickets were $11,525. Listening to Matt Zimmerman on the radio, he said there was at least 15,000 in there. I don't know. It
was a good-sized crowd.
It was a good-sized crowd. So the fact was the fans showed up. Now, it wasn't 17 or 18,000. It had 17,361 purchased tickets. I don't know what the other 6,000 purchased tickets were doing. I don't know. But it was a good enough crowd to get you through it. So it wasn't a lack of atmosphere. There was clearly a home court edge from the fan perspective. What I'm seeing, though, is a recent trend where Arkansas is falling behind, gets down double digits, 10, 12 points, and then they have to use all of their gas, all of their energy to make a game of it in the end. And I think they just ran out of gas going to overtime. Even though LSU had foul trouble, had some players foul out, LSU comes out early and then bangs a couple threes. Arkansas finds themselves down 6, has to call timeout with, a minute and a half or so into overtime. It was over at that point. Those back-to-back scoring over. Just played the last 3 minutes out of courtesy.
They came out firing in the overtime
and Arkansas
period.
didn't,
and that's problematic. Obviously, especially when you're at home, you should be especially if they're the one that came back into the game to send it to overtime.
I mean, no answer for Naz Reid. I mean, there's about 3 guys on that they just did not. Waters was another one that they just didn't have a defensive answer to stop those guys.
Yeah.
Now, in fairness, LSU didn't have much of an answer on Saturday for Daniel Gafford, who ended up with 32, and it was nice to see him get 19 attempts at the basket after getting 4 putrid looks at the basket in the previous game.
It's amazing what he can do if he has the ball in his hands, isn't it?
It's hard to score when you don't get to shoot.
That's right. 32 points for him, 7 rebounds. I mean, it was a game that you were hoping he would respond with it. Even Mason Jones, who seems to be like the quietest guy that goes out there and shoot. I mean, he had 22 points in this game. 6 of 10 from the floor, 8 of 9 from the free throw line. He had 6 rebounds. Mason Jones and Daniel Gafford, I mean, for sure were the workhorses, but you had a poor shooting performance by Isaiah Joe, who really, and here's what's crazy about Isaiah Joe, he only had 1 shot, 1 3.
Well, in conference play, he hasn't shown up yet.
No, he hasn't gotten to that point. But Reggie Chaney coming off the bench, that was another thing that I have been hoping for, is for somebody to come off the bench, somebody to provide a little spark. Some people feel like Reggie Chaney should probably be taking a lot of the minutes away from Adrio Bailey, which he did in this game. He played 27 minutes, where Adrio Bailey only played 15, but he had 6 of 8 shooting. But you just got – I don't think the offense obviously was the problem. You scored plenty of points. The problem was you being able to stop any of those guys defensively for LSU. And they came in and they weren't scared of you. They have really good talent, especially Naz Reid. 10 of 12 from the field, 4-4 from the 3-point line, 27 points. You're not going to slow that down. But it's the tale of two games. Where Florida game, you didn't score enough. This game, you scored enough, but you couldn't keep them from scoring.
You talk about defense. You get into a situation in the last couple of games where Gafford picks up 4 fouls, and then you put him back in. And in the Florida game, he got his 4th foul with like 9 minutes to go. Goes to the bench, then comes back in right after the under 8 timeout. Plays like the last 7 minutes without fouling out. But how much real defense can you play when you're playing that tentative? When
Not
you know
aggressively, no.
you cannot play aggressive defense. And you can be present, but it's hard to play a good brand of defense with 4 fouls.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah Joe had 4 fouls. Reggie Chaney fouls out. So you had guys with foul trouble. Arkansas only had 1 player foul out. Bigby Williams fouled out for LSU, and that was Smart fouled out. Yeah, those were critical players, and and when you have an overtime game, you're just more likely to have guys fouling out. But the point being, we've seen a couple of games where Daniel Gafford's picked up that 4th foul, but he still has to play. You still got to roll the dice. You still got to gamble because he's got to be on the floor. You cannot win with him on the bench. So he can only take a very brief break, and then he has to go play very tentative defense. And I think that also, the other team knows that. Mm-hmm. Take advantage of that.
Yeah, and they always do. But, there's another thing, too, and I know we have to get out of here, and we'll continue to discuss this as the show goes on. But there's 2 things also that I wanted to add to your points. Number 1, I feel like there should be a rule in NCAA. If it goes to overtime, everyone gets you get 6 fouls to foul out, or at least maybe you get, if you have 4 fouls, you get
the worst idea I've ever heard.
I'd like to see something like that. And the other thing, Will Wade might be having the most punchable face of any coach I've seen. There's just something about him when I'm looking, I'm like, I don't trust you. You look like you work at Enterprise Rent-A-Car and you're trying to screw me over in a deal or something like that. Like he has that look.
Didn't you work at Enterprise?
And I would know. Exactly. I would know about that smuggy look.
That's why that reference is weird.
Yeah, I would know all about that.
Is that a punchable face right there?
Absolutely.
Very punchable face.
You put out a poll in any newspaper, and who's the most punchable face in sports media? John R. Numbers.
Yeah. Well, you don't have very good luck with your polls that you put out,
true.
so I don't know if we need to go down that route. But we'll get back into this basketball game. We'll talk about some NFL playoffs, and, of course, we'll get to your thoughts and opinions. 877-377-6963 is the number to call in on a Monday morning quarterback presented by Crabtree RV.
Yeah, the Greater Fort Smith RV Boat and Outdoor Show starting January the 25th at Crabtree RV in Alma. They got the 26,000 square foot indoor showroom. It's going to be loaded up with great stuff like bass boats, ski boats, pontoon boats, golf carts, 4-wheelers, ATVs, side-by-sides, bad boy mowers, tons of outdoors gear from Gelco Outdoors. All these great vendors, all these great places you like to shop, like Golf Cars at Fort Smith, Kofer's Boat Center, Alma Tractor, Bad Boy Mowers, Gelco, Wheeler Power Sports. They're all coming to Crabtree RV January 25th through February 2nd for the Greater Fort Smith RV and Outdoor Show. Make your plans to be there. Free to get in, free to shop, and, of course, you can check out the latest from Crabtree RV and Alma as well while you're there. January 25th through February 2nd, exit 13 off I-40 in Alma. It's Crabtree RV.
Monday morning quarterback presented by Crabtree RV in Alma.
Well, it's obviously a disappointed locker room in there. Our guys, they spilled their guts and heart on that floor, and was trying to find a way to win. And just still the little things that we got to do to finish off a game against a very talented LSU team. Give them credit. I think, the Naz Reid kid, that's probably, I'm sure it's his best game, as well as the Taylor kid. Those some guys we hadn't played before, but they stepped up and made some big plays for him. And, of course, Tremont's going to do his and Skyler. But I thought the second half was totally different than it was the first half, and I thought it was much to our advantage. Let's give them credit. They made plays when they had to, made free throws when they had to. But it wasn't because of a lack of effort. I was disappointed in the outcome of the game, but I was not discouraged because of the effort. I thought we got better against a much better team. That's probably one of our better half, that second half. Got it in overtime, and We've had some overtime games. We lost one to Texas, I think, and we won one or something like that. But we talk about the game's going to come down to the little things, and it came down to the little things again. And I think the little things are execution, offensively and defensively. But again, let's give LSU a lot of credit. They made some big plays.
Mike, it's the second time you had a double-digit deficit at home, came back and couldn't quite close it out. How disappointing is that?
Well, again, right there before the half, they hit a big shot right there before the half. I thought we did a good job of defending, and somehow Tremont got it and kicked it out, and the guy makes a shot. And then, of course, in the second half, I don't know where it went down, but we know that the game is 40 minutes, not 20 minutes or 23 minutes, 30, whatever it is. We knew there was time on the clock, 33 minutes or what have you, and I thought our defense dug in and we started making plays. We kind of got after them, created some turnovers, got stops. I think we got stops. I thought early on in the game it was like going back and forth, and they scored a little bit more than we did, and so. But we were able to have a much better second half, I thought. They got some key offensive rebounds on us, and of course, those are the little things I talked about. There were some opportunities for us to execute. I think it was tied up 77-7. I think we ended up having a turnover. We had a chance to get a lead and had the crowd into it. I thought that was some momentum time. But again, let's give them credit.
Was there a more concerted effort to get Gafford the ball, or was it just the flow of the game?
No, they had no answer for him. It's just like the last few games we've had. We started off and getting people in foul trouble. And so our guys, I thought they did a much better job of really finding him on time, and he did a good job of finishing, and I thought he positioned himself closer to the basket. But, yeah, we wanted to make sure that it was inside out today.
Is Reed a surprise with the three-pointers, or is that something?
Well, we knew he was capable of shooting it, but not 4 for 4. I mean, he was making some. And then, like I said, our defense broke down. In the first half we saw that. And then, of course, he's involved in some screen and pop. He's a screen and pop guy. And the execution we talked about is we got to be able to switch and be with them on that. And so therefore, we didn't execute that part of it. We did it a couple of times, and then at the most crucial moment, we didn't do it, and he made us pay for it.
Mike, they hit 7 more threes than you did. I said it's a big margin. Just how big was a three-point shot today, the ones they made, the ones you guys didn't?
Well, I mean, you look at the difference in the game, a 6-point game, there's a difference. But we also, I thought we got to the line a little bit more than they did, and we didn't capitalize on that. That could offset that. We had 21 turnovers on 21 assists on 34 field goals. That's pretty good. We created some offense from our defense, and so there's a lot of different ways to win a game, and we were right there within striking distance. Just again, the learning curve. We talk about the little bumps. There's another little bump that took place here, but I think we learned from the last bump, and I thought we got better. I really, really did. I thought we competed against one of the better teams we played this year.
You've lost a couple here at home now, and now you've got to go out to play arguably the two best teams in the league on the road. Just talk about the mindset these guys have to take, to be able to go down and compete.
Well, it's a quick turnaround, Dudley, number one, and we just got to go play. That's all. Just go play, and we'll see what the outcome is. I think if we go with the same, the intensity, the same mindset that we saw, especially in that second half, I think we'll be okay. I think we play with anybody. Obviously, going to Tennessee, they're a very talented basketball team, but let it hurt to midnight, and then we'll get preparation in terms of getting ready for a very good Tennessee team. Every game in this league, that's how it's going to be. Every night, and we're seeing it. It's a possession here, a possession there. I think somebody lost on a buzzer.
Is the Morning Rush.
Welcome back into the Morning Rush. Going to get to some quick hitting headlines that is presented by Williams Tractor.
Hey, never too early to start planning for the upcoming season. Stop by Williams Tractor. They're in Fayetteville and in Berryville. The Kick the Tires event going on right now. In-store deals and financing options await you on New Holland equipment. You can get tractors, hay and forage equipment, harvesting, seeding, spraying, or construction equipment. Everything you need is there. The Kick the Tires event now through March the 31st at Williams Tractor in Fayetteville and in Berryville.
Actually, before we do the quick inning headlines, let's go to the phone lines. We have Melanie and Harrison. And Melanie, I apologize. Actually, I don't apologize. Your Eagles lost over the weekend, so sorry to hear it. No,
it's fine.
Super Bowl championship.
That's fine. I'm happy with it. I'm just glad the Cowboys lost.
I feel like that's kind of the way that both fan bases feel. It's like, yeah, we lost, but at least the Eagles lost, or at least the Cowboys lost. So I think no matter what, even if it was a bad weekend for you NFC West teams that were in it, you feel and take some solace in the fact the other team lost.
At least the Eagles Saints game was worth
game.
watching. I mean, all these other games this weekend
were
not much of a game to watch in the second half, at least.
Well, I tell you that I watched all 4 games. That Chargers-Patriots game, I'm sorry. You don't think the Patriots pay off the officials and cheat? They had so many blown calls that they never flagged. They never did anything. Poor Phillip Rivers, he had so many late hits or, roughing the passers that they just never called.
Boy, he whined and complained. God, he was just whining and complaining all day.
Well, I would too if I'd gotten a shot to the jaw and never got flagged for it.
No.
I don't know. It was awful. It was just awful.
I thought the Chargers' defense was about as awful as it could get.
Yeah, I agree. Their defense is not too good, but I don't know. I hate the Patriots so much it just made me sick. And then to see John Bon Jovi sitting up there with Robert Kraft,
that was weird.
Really?
Yeah.
That was just bizarre. I could understand Steven Tyler. I mean, Elspeth is from Boston, but Bon Jovi, they're Jersey, all the way Jersey. I just, the Rams game, that was kind of that was a good one, but weird. The best game of the weekend was definitely the Chiefs game. That was the best.
Well, I think I think Tommy was saying it during the commercial break too, that you're hoping that it sets up for as there wasn't really any great games this past weekend. It's hopefully setting up for some great conference championship games this weekend, where you have, of course, the Chiefs and the Patriots, and then you have the Rams and the Saints. So hopefully that'll give us some entertainment. But I don't really know or care who wins at this point, but I just want to see some great games, that's for sure. So, but hey, there's always next year for your Eagles, Melanie, that's for sure.
Hey, it's fine. They did great.
Yeah.
Nobody expected them to be in there, so I'm happy with how they went.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the phone call, Melanie, as always. I was saying too, how great would it be if you had the Chiefs and the Saints in the Super Bowl just in this region? I know Cowboy fans are probably the most, but having the region where you're pretty close to both places would be pretty cool.
2 o'clock or 2:05, and then 5:40 scheduled kickoffs for the 2 games this Sunday. So not noon, 2. First game's Rams and Saints. AFC Championship games, the second game, Patriots and Chiefs on CBS.
More of the Morning Rush coming up next, folks. Stay with us.
Our league is really, really good from top to bottom. I mean, people may think it's top heavy, but it's not. And so the schedule continues, and we just got to continue to try to get better. That's it.
Mike, you've always had such a good home record, and this is 4 home losses already. I think it ties the most you've ever had here. Just how tough is that? Is this the byproduct of a young team? What do you think's going on?
Yeah, you can see it. You can see it. This team is learning and growing. We're playing some very talented teams, and so we got to be able to continue to grow and learn how to play with a sense of urgency to defend the home court. I think that's big. Our fans were unbelievable today. Congratulations to Sidney. I said the other day as they celebrate, him going into the Hall of Fame. But at the same time, our fans, they were great today, and our guys responded. I thought our guys responded in a positive way. No, I don't like losing. I don't like losing, period. Now, home, away, it don't matter. I don't. And so we've got me and my staff and our players, we'll find a way. We're going to find a way. We always do. Our teams, again, will continue to get better. It's just like I said in December, it'll be different in January. Well, I think in February you'll see a different team, and we'll learn. These will be learning lessons for us.
Last one? I got to make it a 2 for then. Reggie obviously had a good bounce-back game like you anticipated, and then Isaiah's struggled the last couple games. What do you think's going on there?
He's learning. He's being guarded. I mean, that's it. And strength is a factor, and so therefore our bench has got to step up and play, and I thought our bench played well. I thought Reggie came in, and he got the minutes, and I thought he was able to go out and be productive in those minutes. I mean, he was active out there, blocking shots, rebounding. On the screens where he switched, he was guarding a guard. I mean, he was. You knew he was out there, and I thought Adriel gave us some good minutes as well. Isaiah just got to to me, he's got to figure out, how to get lost out there, offensively and play a little strong. I think that's it. I just think, the scouting is getting after him. But it's amazing because what has happened is that they're playing those guys so hard, it allows Dan to do what he did today. It opened up the floor for us, and now you're starting to see guys cut and get in the lanes, and he's got to be able to get in there and finish. He cut to the hole a couple of times, and I think they swatted him down. Didn't get a foul at all, but he's learning. I think he's learning. Thank you.
Placing hoses and filters? Tired of taking it on trips and wondering where you're going to plug it in? And don't forget the distilled water. You need a solution. River Valley Sleep Solutions. Replace your CPAP with an innovative custom-fitted mouthguard. Medical insurance is accepted, and financing options are available. Find out more at rivervalleysleep.com. That's rivervalleysleep.com.
ESPN 95.3. Razorback videos, articles, and podcasts. Find them all at hitthatline.com. This is The Morning Rush.
Welcome back into the Morning Rush. Appreciate everybody listening in this morning. It was a great weekend, and we will get to the best of and the worst of this weekend coming up here in just a little bit as well. And it is presented by World of Wireless.
Yeah, today's the last day. You got to sign up tonight before they close to get the current pricing with Dish. A little modest increase. They hadn't had one in several years. That starts tomorrow on January 15th. But you can sign up today. You don't have to be installed today. You just have to sign up today. And you can lock in the current pricing for 2 years. One room, under $60. 3 rooms in your house, under $75. So if you got a 3-TV household, most common household out there, $74.99 right now. That's the Hopper system, whole home DVR, movie channels, sports channels, SEC, everything you want. Your ESPNs, it's all there for you. $74.99. What are you paying the cable company now? Yeah, I bet it's like $120, $130. Plus you add your internet to that. Oh, internet. Well, don't worry, because World of Wireless can bundle that too with your Dish package. 877-305-DISH. You're stopping at the corner of Phoenix and Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith.
By the way, this is not a sports related, but something big that happened over the weekend. Tommy, did you see the latest Game of Thrones trailer? And how pumped up you are for this show.
I guess that's another one of these instances, because Kraft's always late to the party on these things. I watched like the first 2.
Yeah.
And it just
didn't get
it wasn't for me. Maybe I'll go back.
And that's fine.
But
that's fine.
That is not a show I have
that's fine.
Have gotten into.
Yeah.
And I'm not, it's not for me.
I'm with you, Tommy.
Which, I mean, hey, listen,
the first episode, like someone's hanging from, like this, what you think is a dead body is hanging from a rope in some kind of dungeon, skinned out. And you're like, I've never seen that's pretty nasty. And then they open their eyes and like, oh, I'm out.
Yep.
I'm done.
Yep. And that's pretty,
I'm out.
Honestly, that's pretty tame compared to what the rest of the show has in store. So yeah, maybe it's best. But anyways, it's just amazing to me because this is the final season of Game of Thrones, and it seems like it's either you're all about Game of Thrones or you're not about it at all. There's just only one way you can have it. And when the trailer came out, I think it's April 14th. So here's the thing, Tommy. That April 14th is also Master Sunday.
Oh, well, but when will it come out on the 14th?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's going to be like the best day of my life because it's not until that night, I think at 8 p.m. is when the Game of Thrones.
So absolutely ideal.
So I'm going to have a weekend of watching the Masters, and then that floods right into after the great, hopefully, Tiger winning the Masters on Sunday, hopefully, is going right into Game of Thrones.
Is that the only weekend of the year you dedicate to golf?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
It's just.
I just know you're not as.
Yeah, I'm not diehard.
You're
golf
not
fan,
as
but
big into golf, and honestly, I don't. I'll casually watch tournaments, but the Masters is appointment TV. The majors this year, it's going to be different because the PGA Championship is in May.
Yeah,
you know that?
Yeah,
you remember that? Ty didn't remember that.
No, but yes, it's in
a lot
May,
of people
by the
didn't.
way.
There is no PGA in August this year. The Open Championship across the pond.
So it kind of throws you
will
off
be the
a little
last major. So it's going to be different this year.
Yeah. Well, see, and here's the thing, too, is
so
it's either the Masters or if Tiger's in contention. I mean, just to be honest, if Tiger is about to do something, I then start really watching it.
Which one will be more entertaining? Quick hot take here. Game of Thrones, new final season, or the final round, the back nine at Augusta on Sunday?
Game of Thrones, personally.
Okay.
Just throwing it out there.
You don't think you'll be big drama then?
Unless Tiger has to sink a 9-foot putt to win it at the very last hole.
Not an 8-footer, folks.
A 9-footer. Has to be 9.
Hey, it's wintertime. Actually, a great time to get the painting done around the house. Maybe there's that extra bedroom. Maybe there is that garage. Maybe there's that project you've been waiting on to get accomplished. The paint store in Van Buren can help you with great color selection. They got Richards paints, and they also have outdoor painting that is perfect with premium paints and low-temperature applications right now. Stop in, see Sue and Vicky. They've been doing this for 30-plus years. 1414 Fayetteville Road in Van Buren, or call them at 474-4505 for the paint store in Van Buren.
For 55 years.
Yeah, it was another great comeback by you guys like you had the other night, but ultimately it's a loss. How tough is that to have these big comebacks and then you just fall short in the end?
I mean, it's tough. I mean, to go out and play your tail off for 40 minutes and then to come out, then have to play an extra 5 minutes for overtime. And I mean, to have a loss like that, I mean, it's one that's going to, hurt us real bad. I mean, it's, like Coach said, it's going to have to hurt till midnight. But, games go either way. So hopefully the next game we come out on top.
Was there did they talk before this game just to really concerted effort to get you the ball?
I mean, it's always, a big factor of me, getting the ball. Every time I touch it, Coach says every time I touch it, good things happen. And I mean, every time I touch it, I try to make, the best play. I try to score it, or I try to either get it out to a shooter. Most of the time tonight I scored. But, I mean, it's been one of the big focuses, in practices and stuff. And it's just, it led to the game. So the sad thing is we just didn't come out on top tonight.
Daniel, Reed, obviously a great player, hit 4 out of 4 threes. Did that surprise you, his range and just the threes? They hit 7 more threes than you guys did. How big were the three-pointers? And that's how they got the lead in overtime.
The three-pointers that he hit, those were big threes. Those were some real big plays. I mean, he came down and he took his time and he knocked them down because, we left him wide open. And that's just, that's just our fault right there because, we got to rotate on him, especially off the ball screen. But, he came down, he took his time and knocked him down, and that's what hurt us in overtime because he came down, I think they hit 2 back-to-back threes. It's just some stuff that we need to fix.
Hey, Daniel, can you speak about the play of Reggie Chaney? I thought maybe his best game since he's been at Arkansas. Y'all really looked comfortable out there together in the high-low and then working together down low.
One thing I was telling Reggie and basically all the other guys that were coming off the bench behind him, I was telling them that, when he touched the ball, they sagged off of him. And, they left the lane wide open for him. So I just told him whenever he touched the ball, just go straight towards the basket. Either get fouled and get an and one.
This is the Morning Rush.
Welcome back into the Morning Rush on a Monday morning quarterback presented by Crabtree RV.
Hey, mark your calendars, January 25th through February the 2nd. The Greater Fort Smith RV Boat and Outdoor Show rolls into Crabtree RV in Alma. They'll have, of course, all their travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes on display at great RV show prices, but also Kofer's Boat Center, golf cars at Fort Smith, Wheeler Power Sports, Jelco Outdoors, Alma Tractor, and Bad Boy Mowers all going to be there with bass and ski and pontoon boats, side-by-sides and ATVs, great outdoor clothing and equipment, mowers, tractors, golf carts, all under one roof. They got the 26,000 square foot showroom, and it's going to be loaded up. So plenty of parking, free parking too, by the way, and easy to get to in Alma at exit 13 off of I-40. So stop in for the Greater Fort Smith RV and Outdoor Show, January 25th through February 2nd at Crabtree RV in Alma.
Really didn't get a chance to get into the quick-hitting headlines, but there's a few things I want to bring up here. Obviously, one of the things that kind of got buried in the back end of maybe the newspaper that you saw is that Ben Hicks, the quarterback transfer from SMU, the grad transfer, reportedly took a visit to Arkansas. And they're going to be talking with him to see if maybe he wants to be the quarterback for Arkansas next season. Now, it's kind of a weird situation because I feel like at this point with Ty Story's name in the transfer portal and knowing that Chad Morrison's staff is looking to get a grad transfer quarterback to come in and be the guy right away, Ben Hicks, as far as the list of guys that are possible candidates, might not be the highest on the list. So it kind of makes you wonder, does that do enough to move the needle? If it was Ben Hicks, does that do enough to move the needle for anybody?
I'm out on anyone that has the moniker or the nickname Pick Six Hicks. I'm out. Hadn't seen a second of game tape. We've talked about his stats. We know his back. I am OUT out on a guy named Pick Six Hicks.
Yeah,
no.
in case you're wondering where that nickname comes from, I have a very good friend of mine who went to SMU and is a big SMU football fan. And so when Arkansas hired Chad Morris, I asked him about him. He was all about Chad Morris. Thought Chad Morris was awesome. So I was like, okay, well, obviously he's pretty into SMU. So I asked him, hey, what do you think about Ben Hicks? He's like, you want no part of Pick Six Hicks, is what he said.
I'm taking – I don't know your friend.
His name's Kuzi, so you know he's good. You know he's trustworthy.
That's a great name.
Yeah.
And, unless you come in here and he tells me like Logan's is the best steak in town or something like that, and unless he's one of those guys,
just a contrarian.
I'm just gonna go with his opinion.
Yeah.
On this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know anything. I have no research, no huddle game tape. Not that I've looked at on the internet to back up my point. This is totally a hot take. Anyone with a nickname Pick Six Hicks, I want no part.
Mm-hmm.
I want no part.
But then it comes into – does it make you wonder, all right.
A great comeback by you guys like you had the other night, but ultimately it's a loss. How tough is that to have these big –
Yeah, it's just that's probably listen, we all have a Christmas list of quarterbacks that you probably like to have come into Arkansas, especially the ones that have announced that they're in the transfer portal. And I guarantee you none of you have Ben Hicks probably even in your top 5 as far as these quarterbacks are grad transfers. You probably don't. You have Jalen Hurts. You have a guy like Winbush from Notre Dame. You got other guys instead of Ben Hicks. But if he ends up being the guy, I'm sure, again, we'll talk ourselves into how he's going to be great, how he's going to elevate the Arkansas offense. We'll see. But either way, he took the visit. We'll see how it plays out. I'm sure that Chad Morris is contacting other quarterbacks as well. But we'll see if he ends up being the guy.
Please be contacted.
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
And the other thing, in seriousness, is a quarterback that's played at the level, at the American Athletic Conference level, the AAC level, not the ACC, the AAC. How quickly can you step in and be successful in the SEC? That concerns me. Now, maybe that's just a generalization, painting with a broad brush, but there's a reason Ben Hicks went to SMU.
Yes.
There's if Ben Hicks was so dadgum hot coming out of high school, why wasn't he already at A&M? Or already at LSU? Hell, anybody can quarterback at LSU.
Yeah.
Anybody.
Yeah.
We've seen that. LSU didn't even want it.
But you're hoping he's like a Mason Fine.
My God, they took Cole Kelly at Arkansas. And he's going to Southeast Louisiana now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could be way off base on this, but it just doesn't seem like the pedigree of what you need to go from 2 wins to 6 or 7 next year, which would be a miracle.
Yeah.
A miracle.
I don't know if Ben Hicks is going to be the guy. But we'll wait and see. Like I said, they are probably just taking visits and seeing what guys are interested in. We won't know until it actually happens, and then we can have our reactions there. But, yeah, Ben Hicks taking the visit, at least you know there's the latest update on the quarterback situation for Arkansas in the grad transfer portal. All right, the other news that are coming out of this. Now, this is kind of funny. Alabama we know that they were originally looking to hire Dan Enos as their offensive coordinator. Seemed to make sense. He was the guy that was the quarterback coach. He's been an offense coordinator in an SEC school like Arkansas. He looked like he was going to be the guy to step in after Mike Locksley takes the job at Maryland.
Seemed like the natural progression for Nick Saban.
Yeah, we've seen it before.
Seemed perfect.
Yeah, seen it before. Well, that's not the case because Dan Enos, in a surprise move, has now become the offensive coordinator at Miami with Manny Diaz as the next head coach.
How surprising is this?
Because pretty surprising.
Till you tell the rest of the story here in a minute, because we've seen this before where, like, Lane Kiffin leaves, and then he kind of gets told, go ahead. Just go ahead and leave ahead of the national championship.
Yeah,
we're just going to put Sark in here. And then Sark gets the job, and he says,
going to the Falcons.
Never mind, I'm going to Atlanta. I'm going down the road 2 hours. I don't want any part of this. And clearly, working for Saban, everybody wants a taste. Everybody wants a touch. Everybody wants to be around Saban because success will follow. I can put it on my resume. I can be a part of a national title. I can be a part of success, but I can only do it for so long. And then I got to leave. I got to go do something else. I think the most surprising part of this story is the next part you're getting ready to tell. Not the fact that Enos went to Miami. Then what happened, John?
Steve Sarkisian is looking to be the next offensive coordinator for Alabama.
What did they promise him? Like a wet bar in his office? What did they promise him?
Sark after dark coming back.
God,
I thought this was kind of like a joke, maybe a troll job.
This was the most surprising part of this story.
Is that because it looked like when Sarkisian was the offensive coordinator for that one game in the national championship, that's when they lost the game. And a lot of people felt like after the game, at least Alabama fans were like, dude, get this guy out of here. We don't want any part of it. That offense was terrible in that game.
How do you think that phone call went? Walk us through that phone call. Because Nick Saban at some point had to take a big drink and swallow the pride and pick up the phone and call Sark. And he had to beg and grovel a little bit probably to get him. I don't imagine Sark called him.
I mean,
because Sark could have went to Arizona with Kingsbury, right? That was the other report out there.
Could have gone to Arizona
and been the OC there. How did this happen? How did Saban pull this off?
I've been trying to figure this out because I've gone through it all. I'm like, okay, so maybe.
Hey, I know it ended badly last time, but.
But come on back.
Yeah.
And I don't know who this is more surprising. Just the fact that Nick Saban, and because it's almost like you're in this conundrum where it's like Nick Saban, you never want to question him because he is the greatest college football coach of all time. Even though they lost the championship and got beat like a redheaded stepchild in this past game, he's still he's the GOAT when it comes to college football coaching. So it's like you don't want to ever challenge or go up against what he says or what he decides because you got to trust him in a lot of cases. Like, hey, man, I mean, he's won something. He obviously knows what he's doing. But this might be one of the first times where people have come and maybe they did it with the Lane Kiffin hire, but this might be the first time where you're wondering, like, what's your approach here? What's your idea? What's your reasoning behind this?
Yeah.
Because Sarkisian, like you mentioned, him going to the Cardinals, it almost makes you wonder if he's going to get paid more at Alabama than he would have at the Cardinals.
Did you never sell your house there that you're still making a second mortgage on?
Yeah.
There's something about all of this that just doesn't jive. Because
I don't know.
I'm not as surprised as some that Enos said, I've seen what Loxley's been through. I've been through it myself just as a quarterback's coach, and really he's kind of been the assistant OC as it appears on the outside. I
was more surprised him going to Miami.
I go to Miami.
I was more surprised about him going to Miami than him not being Alabama's OC. Because I felt like a place like maybe like Georgia, who was looking for an OC, they would have looked at him. So I was more surprised about the Miami move than I was Alabama.
But you weren't surprised him getting the hell out of Tuscaloosa?
No.
No, I wasn't either.
No.
I was more surprised about Sark coming back. Because generally, you want to go there, be a part of, get your ring, get that on your resume. 20, blah, 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 14, 15, 18, whatever year, coordinator, quarterback coach, whatever, national championship team. Looks great on the resume. Can't work for this guy no more. That seems to be the sentiment from the outside looking in. And the amazing part is, doesn't seem to matter.
No.
Saban just keeps cranking it out.
But what if? What if this offense in this upcoming year for Alabama is a shade of itself from the previous year with Tua? What if,
that would be with Tua would be? I mean, when you add that last two words on there,
because it's one thing if you're replacing a Tua, and you're having to bring in a
and
brand
now
new
you got to replace a coordinator and a quarterback coach.
Yeah,
because remember they're not just replacing Dan Enos, they're also replacing Loxley too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're having to replace a lot of pieces, from this coaching staff. And it just becomes this thing where I want to criticize the hire of Nick Saban bringing in Steve Sarkisian. I'm just looking at him like,
it's a great hire.
To bring in Sarkisian? Why?
Because he's familiar with the program. He's familiar with Saban. Do you think he can coach?
I don't know. He's been fired at the places he's been previously.
But fired for football reasons or fired for Sark reasons?
I mean, I think Sark reasons have come into play. And he's and Nick Saban's taking risk. I mean, hiring Lane Kiffin as an offensive coordinator was a risk.
It worked out.
And it worked out.
He had Kiffin and Sark at the same time.
Yeah. And because it worked, because once Kiffin left for FAU, that's when Sark came in and coached in the championship game. But
he was already on staff.
Yeah, he was on staff, but he just
became an analyst, I think, at the time.
Yeah, but they say that's been the secret to this whole thing with Saban. He gets all these guys like Butch Jones this year, and I think Butch is actually, and he going to Maryland with Loxley. He gets all these guys that have been fired elsewhere and pays them like $100,000 or $150,000 or whatever the minimum is they can earn and still get their buyout. So they're getting paid handsomely. It may be from somewhere else, but they're still making plenty of money to be an analyst. And the thing is, they get to see what is going on in Alabama. They get to be a part of it. And it's like a farm system for Saban. So then when somebody leaves because they're the coordinator, like Loxley did this year, he's got like a AA team down here. Oh, this guy, he used to be a head coach. We'll just, elevate him up, and he knows what's going on. He's up to speed that fast because he's been an analyst, which he's more than an analyst, on our staff.
Yeah. Well, time will tell. I mean, it really
that's
will.
been the secret to what Saban has done and how he has continued to replace these guys. He generally gets someone that has either been on staff or has been an analyst on his staff in recent years.
It's like a farm system.
That's what I said.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like calling up from the AA team.
Yeah, and it's obviously worked out for him.
Hey, get him on a bus.
But
get him up here.
I'm wondering if Saban was surprised that Dan Enos didn't take the job. I'm wondering how that went down. Was it more, hey, do you want this job? No, I'm going to Miami. And he's like, wait a minute. Are you turning me down?
Yeah.
You don't turn me down.
Nobody turns me down.
Nobody turns Nick
Saban
Saban
am?
down. Yeah. I'm wondering
I
if
own
that
a
was the
Mercedes
case.
dealership.
Yeah. But I think Dan Enos.
How about a free Mercedes and you stay right here?
Hey, it'll be interesting to see if Jalen Hurts makes the transfer to Miami.
It's a
that's
nice
also in
dealership.
there.
I've seen it.
Yeah, very nice dealership. So, but we'll talk about that later in the show. We'll also get into some other storylines over the week, and of course, your phone calls as well. 877-377-6963. Stay with us, folks. This is the Morning Rush.
Monday Morning Quarterback presented by Crabtree.
I thought our guys responded well in overtime. I was worried with the foul trouble and the way it got to overtime. But Arkansas did a great job. They did the same thing they did in the Florida game. They got down and they turned up the heat and came back and we lost our composure a little bit, but we were able to regain it in overtime. So I was really proud of our guys. This is a very, very tough place to play, and good win for us. Bringing 6 new guys on the road for their first SEC game. So really proud of our guys. I thought Nas played great. I thought Tremont did a good job distributing the ball. I thought Marlon Taylor was huge for us, and we just fortunately made a few more plays. Gafford was a man down there and did a tremendous job. And we didn't have many answers for him, but we got a stop on him late, and that ultimately was the difference in the game.
For both players, what was the key? Because Arkansas made a big run back. They seemed to have the momentum in overtime. They took the lead, then you guys got it back. But what was the key to taking over in overtime?
Coach in practice telling us to stay together. Without that, I don't know if we have. I have confidence in us, but I don't know if we could have done that as well as we did.
I would say just coming together. Obviously, the crowd got really into the game. So, and guys on our team were against the refs at some points and just crying about fouls and stuff like that. But as a team, as a whole, the 5 that were on the court, we pretty much just came back together and just stayed glued, and that was the key to us winning.
As you had that dunk, and then a second later, the guy ref teed you up. Did you say something, or what happened on that technical?
The ball came to me, and I was running. I just kind of swiped it out my way. I wasn't really intentionally throwing it, but stuff like that happens. You just gotta keep playing.
Kind of surprised them with the 3-pointers that maybe you seemed like you were wide open on some of those.
If that was the game plan, I guess they read me wrong. But I mainly just keep working in the gym. That's what made me convert those. So.
Will, it was a pretty big difference in 3-pointers today. You guys and their guys. What was your take on the impact of the 3 today?
We came in. Obviously Joe and Jones are just lethal 3-point shooters, but we let Jones just drive it all over us today, and we fouled him. I don't know how many times we went to the foul line. At least a dozen. And so we wanted to run those guys off the three, and we ultimately tested our theory. We didn't think they could win. We could lose 2 by 2, and I didn't intend on giving Gafford quite as many easy looks as we gave him. But we felt like if we could get it into keep Arkansas off the 3-point line, we'd have a good chance, and that's what ultimately happened.
Coach Wade, did you feel that you had to win this game 4 or 5 times, and were some of the perimeter passes maybe more casual than you would have liked when you had leads? Yeah,
I wish like I said, turned up the heat, which is what they do and what they're great at, and we didn't meet the ball. We were a little bit laissez-faire with some of the passes, but you never feel comfortable when you're on the road, when you're playing a team as good as Arkansas, a team that presses and runs like Arkansas does. You never feel comfortable. So I'm not necessarily sure we had to win it multiple times, but certainly I felt like we probably deserved to win or earned the right to win in regulation, and then when that doesn't happen, you feel like you got to turn around and do it again in overtime, which our guys did.
Will, sorry if you answered this question already, but you always talk about a 6-minute game. Tonight it turned into 11-minute. Can you just tell me about the way they hung in there?
We were better in the overtime than we were in the 6-minute game in regulation, but we were much better in overtime. I thought Javante's 3 was a huge shot for us in overtime, got us going, and I thought we just executed a little bit better in the overtime than we did at the end of the game.
Naz, when you're going to play a game against somebody like Daniel Gafford, does that get you a little bit more hyped for the game, or is it even a thought?
Way more hype, He's a lottery pick, I would say, and just us going at it is a great matchup. So, I wouldn't say I wouldn't be.
Well, I guess you guys lost 9 in a row on the road since you won here. Now you're 2-0 here in Walton Arena. A lot of coaches can't say they've won 2 and not lost any here. How do you feel about that? You're 3-0 against Arkansas too, and Tremont, you're 3-0 against Arkansas and won twice. Or how do you feel about that?
I don't know. I think it's more coincidence than anything. This is obviously one of the 2 or 3 toughest places to play in our league. I think they've got the 3rd best home record for a while. They'd won 9 straight Saturday home games here. I knew that, Arkansas, and they hadn't lost back-to-back games in like 8 years at home. So there was a lot of, this is just a tough place to play. And when you have a point guard like Tremont, that helps. And, having him to combat some of the pressure and make those reads, because you can't really run against Arkansas what you would typically run, because you're they take you out of what you want to do. So you got to have somebody that you trust and somebody that you feel comfortable with to make the right reads. And Tremont did that. Skylar did that at times. Javante did that at times. And I think that helps us.
I would just say obviously it's a
topic when it comes to Mike Anderson and how there's a lot of people that come out of the woodwork and saying it's time to move on, 8 seasons and this is what we get, blah, blah, blah. And there's also the people that come out in defense of Mike Anderson. And it's coming to a point where it's either you're on one side or the other when it comes to
you really can't judge a guy till his 9th year,
Well, yeah, and that's what's funny about it is because there are some people that want to wait until the season plays out the rest of the way to see how it goes, which I understand that, because there has been times when, especially year in, year out, where Mike Anderson's teams have had a very slow start to the beginning of conference play and they find a way to fall backwards into the NCAA tournament.
There have been times.
You're giving me a look like you're constipated. What is this?
You said there have been times. It's been like every time.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
When has Mike's teams ever come out of the gate and like, man, it's the hottest team in the league. They've won. They're 7-1 after their first 8.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. For whatever
They're
reason.
5-4 at the halfway mark, and then they go on a run.
Why is that? What is it about it? Because it's one thing if it's like 1 year, 2 year, but we're talking about pretty much every single year. There's got to be some reason why.
There's a consistent trend with how they perform, and it's always a little. I don't say they limp into conference play. They just kind of ease. It's kind of like getting in the pool when the pool water's about 64 instead of 84. You kind of ease into the water. They kind of ease into SEC play.
I don't have a pool. I wouldn't know what that's like, Tommy. I'm not to that level yet.
Yeah.
When your pool's only 64 degrees.
Yeah.
You have to change the thermostat.
Well, you got to
ease in. You got to ease your way in. Well, and that makes sense as far as easing your way into conference play. But why? But why is it just a matter of not being able to adjust once conference play hits? There's got to be some reason.
It's almost
why.
like there is no sense of urgency till about Valentine's Day.
I guess.
And then they go on a run. And that is why this program has always been like that 8, 9, 10 seed area, and always ends up playing someone like North Carolina in the second round. The issue is not that, well, you always have to play North Carolina. The issue is if you were a 4 seed or a 5 seed, you never have to play a 1 or a 2 seed, in the second game when you got to the tournament. The problem has always been you start out in January not at your best basketball, and it's hard to sustain that all the way through, and they've not been able to do that, but then you play hard and you get yourself into the tournament, and then you end up in that spot because you didn't play well enough in the body of work in the course of the season to get yourself to a seed that avoids some of these better teams. And we didn't see that necessarily last year, but how many years have we seen Arkansas be that 8, 9, 10, 7?
Even the year they were the 5 seed, Bobby Force's year, they had North Carolina playing them next as the 4 seed.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's sometimes just unavoidable. And I get what you're saying, but it's just
if you play better all year, you're going to have a better seed.
And,
So, I mean, that's how you avoid some of these teams. Now, upsets happen, but,
you just look at it and you just try to figure it out because it doesn't make sense. So you got to dive into it. You're like, okay, we've seen 8 straight years of this where it's been a slow start to conference play. What is the reason? It's not like they play the best conference teams every year. In fact, this year's the weirdest one because they won their road game. And they've lost their 2 home games. And, I mean, they could be realistically looking at 1 and 5.
With losing 4 games at Bud Walton. You don't lose 4 in a year normally in a whole season. This season is far from over. And they've lost 4 this season already.
And 3 of them are against much less superior opponents, like bad opponents. And that it just doesn't make sense. But we'll talk about that and a lot more as the show goes on. In 2 minutes, we'll be back with Morning Rush.
Keep that same energy, that same attitude every time we step on the floor. And as far as Arkansas, they're a great team. And it's just, like Coach said, it's pretty much a coincidence. And that's really it.
How did y'all keep it together with only 5 players left, basically?
Coach Wade always puts us through situations during practice, at the end of practice while we're dog tired after he runs us all practice pretty much. So just already being in that environment, like Coach played, I don't know what sound it was during practice this past week, but it was like hog sound and like their chant with their band and stuff like that. So, and he puts it on full blast, so you can't like hide from it, like you can't block it out. So just being like in that environment already, just knowing that we trust each other and just coming together as brothers and knowing that our family will be there. The guys on the bench, a few fans that were there, everyone was locked in tonight, so I felt pretty good.
Coach Wade, you kind of talked about Daniel Gafford a little bit. What did he do today in your eyes? I know he got really good position a lot, but did you really just want to play behind him? Was that the goal?
Not really. But that's kind of what ended up happening. We just, you give him angles like we gave him. We tried to do the same thing we did last year, which was kind of help off the 4 men. Now the 4 men hit a couple shots. Chaney hit a shot early. A couple of those guys hit some shots early, so we couldn't quite help as much off those guys. And Coach Anderson adjusted and put a little bit better shooting in there and had him curling some screens and some different things that gave us some problems. So, we gave him. I mean, he's a great player. You give him angles, and I knew they were going to go to Gafford. I think Coach Anderson, I watched his press conference. He talked about we got to play inside out. We got to get the ball inside. We got to get the ball inside. I thought they got the ball inside, and I thought their bench played well. I know those were 2 areas coming out of Florida that Arkansas was trying to get going, and we just didn't do a good job stopping him. But like I said, we really wanted to concentrate on Joe and Jones. We didn't want to give those guys threes because I think next to turnovers, I think the crowd here feeds off the threes. When they get barraging you from 3, I think the crowd gets into it, and I thought we could keep the crowd out of it if we didn't turn it over and have a bunch of live ball turnovers and didn't get barraged by 3.
Nas, you've had some slow starts early in the season. What got into you today? Did you feel like you were going to have it today?
Just a bounce back game from Alabama's game, and wanting to win. Something that I hate. I'm like a sore loser, so I don't want to lose anything. So I'm going to put my all on the floor and just mainly wanting to win.
Tommy Kraft.
I thought that was one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen.
The Morning Rush starts right now.
1 hour down, 2 hours to go. Appreciate everybody listening in on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. John Neighbors, Tommy Kraft, Ty Richardson, all in studio with you today. And thank you, as always, for making us a part of your morning this morning on a Monday morning quarterback presented by Crabtree RV.
Hey, start planning your next outdoor adventure at the Greater Fort Smith RV Boat and Outdoor Show. You can check out all the top brands from new motorhomes, fifth wheels, and travel trailers. Shop and compare bass and ski boats and pontoon boats, as well as golf carts, tractors and mowers, four-wheelers, side-by-sides, and the latest outdoor clothing and equipment. It's all in one place. It's the Greater Fort Smith RV Boat and Outdoor Show, January 25th through February the 2nd. It's going to be at Crabtree RV in Alma. They're going to have great partners like Kofer's Boat Center, Golf Carts of Fort Smith, Wheeler Power Sports, Gelco Outdoors, Alma Tractor, and Bad Boy Mowers all on hand. Again, January 25th through February the 2nd. You can enjoy all of this under one roof. They're 26,000 square foot heated indoor showroom. It's all at the Greater Fort Smith RV Show, January 25th through February 2nd.
Now, this storyline's a weird one, just to be honest with it. You know, we've been talking a lot about the Razorback basketball team, and we'll get into that. But this one dealing with the Miami Dolphins' possible defensive coordinator. Now, you're wondering why? Why? Who cares? Who cares about the Miami Dolphins' defensive coordinator? Well, when Brett Bielema's name is being rumored as being the possible defensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins, like it is right now, very possible that he moves from Bill Belichick's staff with the Patriots to become and fill into that role. A lot of questions get asked, for one, of why Brett Bielema, of all people, to be into that role. So it goes deeper than that, and the questions start arising. But the initial reaction to this and this news, because it's not official, but just the fact that this is a possibility, was pretty shocking to people, considering the last time they saw him in a full-time coaching role was pretty abysmal.
But you've got a member of the Patriots staff that's rumored to be the next head coach for the Dolphins, right?
Correct.
And then you've got Bielema, who's been around Belichick and this staff all year long. So it's all about relationships. It's about people you know. Rarely do you open up a job of any importance to just, hey, we're going to accept applications. You go back to the people you know, the people you have relationships, people you trust. It's know, like, trust. And clearly Bielema has developed good relationships with his existing staff and has shown, you know, his ability to help put a game plan together, his ability to help coach play, all of these things.
Patriots linebacker coach Brian Flores, by the way, is the guy that's looking to take over.
He's their linebackers coach, and he calls the defense. He calls the plays on the defensive side, too. It was mentioned in yesterday's game.
Right.
Now, is it a bit of a surprise? Probably we're jaded because of what happened at Arkansas. This guy's evaluating football and football only. He didn't care about recruiting. He didn't care about anything. But can you show up and do the job, and can you coach football?
And that leads me into the question, since you brought that up. Is Brett Bielema a bad coach?
I don't think you can look at the course of his career and come up with a conclusion that he's a bad football coach.
So is it just an outlier, or at least something that was besides on the actual coaching that ended up being his demise at Arkansas? Because this is where people come into it, where you see the success of Wisconsin, and you can't deny it. Even though we all know that he took over a very solid program under Barry Alvarez, a healthy program, he took it over and sustained it. For the most part. He had some down years here and there, but he sustained success.
I'm going to tell you, as a program, and nobody likes to talk about this, but you stop and think about what has happened. Arkansas's program has been a career killer. Houston Nutt, Arkansas, had success. Left here, Ole Miss. What's he done since? Done. Over. On TV. All right, Bobby Petrino was here, then he went to Western Kentucky. Now, his situation was totally different. Obviously, he had success. But now his career is teetering, right? Mm-hmm. John L. Smith, whatever. Brett Bielema comes here, doesn't have success. His career's derailed. I mean, at some point in the coaching community, I get concerned that having Arkansas on your resume recently is like a pariah, something you don't want any part of. Ooh, no, as a head coach, because that seems to be. You look at a few of the guys that have coached here in the last 15 years, And within a job of them being at Arkansas, they leave Arkansas under various circumstances, some of it for not winning enough. And within their next job, they're done. Can't get a job.
Which makes
Why
you,
is that?
But
is that all coincidence?
I don't know if it's coincidence because you brought up Houston Nutt and Brad Bielema, for instance, as those coaches, and it's like, okay, Houston Nutt had the success, but elsewhere he did not at Arkansas. Brad Bielema had success
tailed
elsewhere.
off. I mean, there was other things, and
Right,
there's
right.
always other things. It seems
right,
like.
but his final 2 years, there was no doubt that they were pretty good. He won 10 games in 8 games.
Well, in the last year, he didn't coach the Cotton Bowl, but his team went to the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that that 07 team should have been better. We can revisit that at some other time. But it wasn't as bad as of an ending as like for Brad Bielema.
Goes to Ole Miss, and then he hadn't coached since.
So it makes you wonder, like for Houston Nutt, did Arkansas make Houston Nutt better, or did Houston Nutt make Arkansas better? But because when he goes to Ole Miss, he took over a crazy talented team from Ed Orgeron. I mean, he had NFL pros all over the place. Went 9-4, went 9-4 back-to-back years, and then just, I think he went 2-10 in his last year. So I mean, Arkansas knows a little bit about that. They did that at Ole Miss. But then, like Brad Bielema, he was at Wisconsin, and even when he was hired as Arkansas's football coach, there were some people that had their skepticisms, but nobody came out and said that he would be an epic failure in the way that he was. People thought that he'd at least be able to sustain a 7-type win success per year, but he didn't do that. And so it makes you wonder, okay, did Houston Nutt do so well at Arkansas and so bad at Ole Miss because Arkansas was that much of a better situation? Did Brett Bielema do so good at Wisconsin and so bad at Arkansas because Arkansas wasn't a good program and it wasn't a good situation that brought him down? You know, it's just they're two different situations, but both of them, once they left in weird situations and they left in bad situations. And so it goes to make you wonder how much of Arkansas plays into this factor. Is it more about the coach or is it more about the program? Did Arkansas not do I'm not saying they didn't do a good job, but just was it easier to win at Wisconsin than it was at Arkansas? I think there's no doubt. But you're telling me that Brett Bielema, with the success he had at Wisconsin, couldn't go at least make a bowl game every year? Couldn't at least have some sort of success, being able to be consistent in it? I think that there were other factors that played into Brett Bielema's demise. I think we all know that.
Obviously, whatever those personal issues were, and I think some of us have an idea what they were, but whatever was going on in his life, professionally and personally, must be resolved. Is it Flores, you said? The rumored to be the next coach?
Linebacker.
Flores is ready to give him possibly a chance to be the defensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
He has seen enough in the time and this is what Bielema's had to do. He's kind of had to take an internship, if you will. Now, it's been a pretty good paying internship.
I wouldn't mind that internship.
While he's also getting paid from Arkansas, so you lump it all together, it's been a pretty sweet deal. But more or less, it's an entry-level coaching job he's been performing this season. But he's done that to help start the rehabilitation of his coaching career.
Yeah,
because there were what suitors were there? There wasn't like a dozen schools lined up ready for him to be the next head coach after he was fired at Arkansas. I mean, it wasn't like schools were pleading for him to come there.
Because can you compare it to the other situations? There were obviously Ole Miss was one of them with Houston Nutt. There were a lot of people that said, "Man, I'd take Houston Nutt right now. Look what he did at Arkansas,"
and they did.
Same thing with Petrino. Even though he had his whole situation that was terrible, people were still like, "Yeah, but we'd overlook that."
Well, but he went to Western Kentucky for.
Yeah, he went there for 1 year, and then he got hired at Louisville, which ended up being a huge jump considering where he was.
But ended badly.
Yeah, but ended badly. But
it always ends badly.
But it comes back to it, and maybe it's just living in the moment. And I think that we've seen the result with this past season under Chad Morris. The whole unfortunate thing about this, and maybe this is too harsh. Actually, I don't think it's too harsh. Brett Bielema torpedoed the Razorback football program in a way and in a fashion that has never been seen before. And I think that there's always going to be a little bit of disdain for him as an individual because of the way that the program went to the way it is now, and that he is the main guy to blame.
My point was Arkansas just hasn't seemed to be a launching pad for any coach. That you come to Arkansas, you have success for 4 or 5 seasons, then it's on to greater things. And man, they went to the playoff, or man, they accomplished this wonderful feat won a conference title somewhere else, won, had this great accomplishment. Now, Petrino did have a Heisman Trophy winner post Arkansas, but you look at this last few years of guys, there's been no sustained success. Nutt took Ole Miss to the Cotton Bowl, if you want to consider that, but Arkansas's not been like this launching pad for the last 3 or 4 head coaches either.
Yeah. I mean, even Ken Hatfield, when he left for Clemson, he had a couple good years, but it was never to the level as other guys. And of course, we know that Frank Broyles didn't leave.
Lou Holtz might be the last one that went on to
did something
great things after Arkansas.
Yeah, because in fact, he won the national championship just 5 years after leaving Arkansas at Notre Dame. So, maybe that was the case there. But I see what you're saying. There's not a lot of situations and there's not a lot of times that you can go back and look at that. But it goes to make you wonder, is it more about the program or is it more about the coaching hires?
That's the thing, nobody.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to hear that.
Can't be about the program.
But don't you think, though, that it's...
It can't be the lack of a recruiting base in Arkansas. Don't talk about that.
But can it be, though? Because look at Houston Nutt. Is there no doubt that Houston Nutt should have had better years than what he did?
Well, of course.
Of course. Why? Because he had talent. He just didn't do anything.
And where did
with
that talent come from?
Arkansas.
Yeah.
Majority of it, at least. A good bit of it.
2 of the 3 running backs he had Peyton Hillis and McFadden. The other one came from the Tulsa area.
Hey, a guy named Matt Jones. Ever heard of him? Yeah, he was pretty good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they had those elements to it. So there's just a lot of situations, too, that you can look at from Arkansas's perspective in certain seasons that they either overachieve or underachieved, and it makes you wonder, okay, is it more about the program or is it more about the coach? I think it's more about the coach. You just got to get the right guy in there.
But the coach can't control when the best talent in the last 25 years comes out of this state.
No.
That was other thing. Bielema never got – Petrino got that run early where he had Joe Adams. He had Tyler Wilson. He had a lot of great in-state recruits. Bielema had 1 or 2 or 3 across the way, but there was never that crop where you got 8 or 9 or 10 at one time.
But he had a crop of great recruits when he first got in. That some of them weren't from the state of Arkansas.
Right, but you got to have a couple of years of that, and that was just. But then some other breaks. It just never lined up for Bielema here.
No, but Bielema, the biggest mistake that he made, and of many, was the fact that he was unable to hire competent coaches at the assistant level after the really good ones left. We know that when Sam Pittman left or Randy Shannon left, like all these guys that were really good, he wasn't able to overcome that, and he didn't recruit well. He stopped recruiting. He did.
So how will if he ends up being the defensive coordinator? If you're just hopping in, that's why we're discussing this. Brett Bielema, reports are he's rumored to be the next defensive coordinator with the Miami Dolphins, perhaps. How will he do? And will we ever see him as a head coach again on any level?
If I'm just basing it off my gut feeling right now, I think he will do average. Like, we don't have enough to see what he's done in a coordinator role.
The problem will be when you're a coordinator or a coach of anything at the Miami Dolphins, you're in the same division with who?
Patriots.
And Belichick and Tom Terrific and all. I mean, good luck.
Yeah.
Now, this makes perfect sense for Brett because he loves Florida. He loves South Florida.
Yeah.
Wife's family's there.
South Burt.
He loves the deep sea fishing. This is ideal for him.
Yeah, but maybe it needs to be less ideal for him if he wants to focus on his job.
Well,
because as we know from what happened at Arkansas, sometimes that stuff outside of the program and outside of football can be distracting, and that's the last thing Brett Bielema needs to do if he wants to get his career back on point. So, but just an interesting thing. If the Dolphins want to go with Brett Bielema, all right, we'll see how it goes. But definitely an interesting hire. If that's
I
what
would
they
like
want
to see it. I like the guy personally. I wish he'd have had more success at Arkansas. I thought he was a fun head coach to cover. He just didn't win enough games.
Mm-hmm. And he torpedoed
there's
the program.
there's a lot of reasons as to why, but I mean, I personally hope he has professional success.
I don't personally, but that's okay. We're all a little different.
I just thought he's a good guy that didn't win enough.
Yeah, we're all different in that realm. 877-377-6963 is the number to call in. More of the Morning Rush coming up next.
Well, it's obviously a disappointed locker room in there. Our guys, they spilled their guts and heart on that floor, and was trying to find a way to win. And just still the little things that we got to do to finish off a game against a very talented LSU team. Give them credit. I think, the Nas Reed kid, I mean, that's probably, I'm sure it's his best game as well as the Taylor kid. Those some guys we hadn't played before, but they stepped up and made some big plays for him. And of course, Tremont's going to do his and Skyler. But I thought the second half was totally different than it was the first half, and I thought it was much to our advantage. Let's give them credit. They made plays when they had to, made free throws when they had to. But it wasn't because of a lack of effort. I was, disappointed in the outcome of the game, but I was not discouraged because of the effort. I thought we got better against a much better team. That's probably one of our better half, that second half. Got it in overtime, and we've had some overtime games. We lost one to Texas, I think, and we won one or something like that. But we talk about the game's going to come down to the little things, and it came down to the little things again. And I think the little things are execution, offensively and defensively. But again, let's give LSU a lot of credit. They made some big plays.
Mike, it's the second time you had a double-digit deficit at home, came back and couldn't quite close it out. How disappointing is that?
Well, again, right there before the half, they hit a big shot right there before the half. I thought we did a good job of defending, and somehow Tremont got it and kicked it out, and the guy makes a shot. And then, of course, in the second half, I don't know where it went down, but we know that the game is 40 minutes, not 20 minutes or 23 minutes, 30, whatever it is. We knew there was time on the clock, 33 minutes or what have you, and I thought our defense dug in and we started making plays. We kind of got after them, created some turnovers, got stops. I think we got stops. I thought early on in the game it was like going back and forth, and they scored a little bit more than we did, and so. But we were able to have a much better second half, I thought. They got some key offensive rebounds on us, and of course, those are the little things I talked about. There were some opportunities for us to execute. I think it was tied up 77-7. I think we ended up having a turnover. We had a chance to get a lead and had the crowd into it. I thought that was some momentum time. But again, let's give them credit.
Was there a more concerted effort to get Gafford the ball, or was it just the flow of the game?
No, they had no answer for him. It's just like the last few games we've had. We started off and getting people in foul trouble. And so our guys, I thought they did a much better job of really finding him on time, and he did a good job of finishing, and I thought he positioned himself closer to the basket. But, yeah, we wanted to make sure that it was inside out today.
Reed a surprise with the three-pointers, or is that something?
Well, we knew he was capable of shooting it, but not 4 for 4. I mean, he was making some. And then like I said, our defense broke down. In the first half we saw that, and then of course he's involved in some screen and pop. He's a screen and pop guy, and the execution we talked about is we got to be able to switch and be with them on that. And so therefore we didn't execute that part of it. We did it a couple of times, and then at the most crucial moment we didn't do it, and he made us pay for it.
Mike, they hit 7 more threes than you did. I said it's a big margin. Just how big was a three-point shot today, the ones they made, the ones you guys didn't?
Well, I mean, you look at the difference in the game, a 6-point game, there's a difference. But we also, I thought we got to the line a little bit more than they did, and we didn't capitalize on that. That could offset that. We had 21 turnovers on 21 assists on 34 field goals. That's pretty good. We created some offense from our defense, and so there's a lot of different ways to win a game, and we were right there within striking distance. Just again, the learning curve. We talk about the little bumps. There's another little bump that took place here, but I think we learned from the last bump, and I thought we got better. I really, really did. I thought we competed against one of the better teams we played this year.
You've lost a couple here at home now, and now you've got to go out to play arguably the two best teams in the league on the road. Just talk about the mindset these guys have to take, to be able to go down and compete.
Well, it's a quick turnaround, Dudley, number one, and we just got to go play. That's all. Just go play, and we'll see what the outcome is. I think if we go with the same, the intensity, the same mindset that we saw, especially in that second half, I think we'll be okay. I think we play with anybody. Obviously, going to Tennessee, they're a very talented basketball team, but let it hurt to midnight, and then we'll get preparation in terms of getting ready for a very good Tennessee team. Every game in this league, that's how it's going to be. Every night, and we're seeing it. You know, it's a possession here, a possession there. I think somebody lost on a buzzer beater today, and so it's our league is really, really good from top to bottom. I mean, people may think it's top heavy, but it's not. And so the schedule.
Back into the morning rush. Hey, we're going to tell you a little bit about the baseball team and an update that they have and their rankings, which makes me think about springtime and a happier time, a more fabulous time to be able to go outside and enjoy the nice weather, which makes me think of barbecue. And when I think of barbecue, honestly, I think of Sassy's in Fayetteville with their 2 locations off of College and off of Weddington. You about to say something in there?
I said Mic'd Up with Mike will be back there too, I guess, tonight.
Yeah, that's right. And on the location on College tonight because they switched it over. So
tonight?
Yeah, I think so.
Or are they traveling to Tennessee? I can't
Actually, they may be traveling to Tennessee. You may be right. So yeah, there won't be Mic'd Up. But usually when they have Mic'd Up with Mike Anderson,
who brought that up?
Yeah, it wasn't me.
Who did that?
I was doing my read perfectly until Tommy came busting in, messing things up, messing me up. But that's okay. Even though Mic'd Up with Mike Anderson's not going to be there tonight, you can still go there. They'll still be open. Don't worry. If you want to try some great barbecue, a great atmosphere, try out the award-winning smoked wings, maybe go on your little health kick if that's what you want to do with the salads and the wraps, be sure to check it out. They have great catfish, too. You wouldn't think a place like Sassy's was known for their barbecue and their fantastic barbecue. Would they have good catfish? Would they have good burgers? They got it all. Everything's wonderful there at Sassy's, so be sure to check it out for lunch and or dinner at their 2 locations in Fayetteville off of College and off of Weddington. By the way, D1Baseball.com, which is one of the more, I don't want to say elite coverages of Division I baseball, but there's not many. It's not like ESPN.com. It just has the greatest litter of people who are reporting on college baseball. It's not to that level yet, but D1 Baseball is definitely one of the more credible sites that you could find when it comes to college baseball. Kendall Rogers does a great job with it. Well, they've come out with their top 25 rankings preseason, and Arkansas is on it. So at least you're there.
Okay, where?
16th. Considering what they lost last year, I mean, they lost a lot of players, a lot of pieces. I think that's fair.
Where does that rank amongst SEC teams? Because I got to believe that you're probably not 1, 2, or 3 in the SEC at 16th, knowing the strength of this league in baseball.
You are 7th.
7th.
In the SEC.
So I'm guessing Vanderbilt would be a program that's up there.
Vanderbilt is number 1.
Who would be the other ones? Florida?
Florida's number 6.
Okay.
So they're also really good.
A&M at some point's got to get it going.
Yeah, they're not ahead of Arkansas. In fact, they're not even in the top 25. But LSU's at number 2.
LSU's always going to be up there.
Georgia's at number 9. Ole Miss at number 10. And then Mississippi State at 14. So those are the teams that are ahead of you.
I'd bet a hundo right now Dave Van Horn will finish better than 7th.
Does Dave Van Horn finish top 10?
In the SEC.
Does he finish top 10 in the country, though?
I don't know about that, but he'll finish better than the top half of this league.
Well, if he finishes top half of this league...
Anybody want that?
No, I ain't
no
touching
takers?
that one.
So y'all know, too.
I will never bet against Dave Van Horn.
You know, too.
I will never bet against Dave Van Horn. That is a bad idea all around. More of the Morning Rush coming up next, folks. Stay with us.
It's another great comeback by you guys like you had the other night, but ultimately it's a loss. How tough is that to have these big comebacks and then you just fall short in the end?
I mean, it's tough. I mean, to go out and play your tail off for 40 minutes and then to come out, then have to play an extra 5 minutes for overtime. And I mean, to have a loss like that, I mean, it's one that's going to, hurt us real bad. I mean, like Coach said, it's going to have to hurt till midnight. But, games go either way. So hopefully the next game we come out on top.
Was there did they talk before this game just to really concerted effort to get you the ball?
I mean, it's always, a big factor of me, like, getting the ball. Every time I touch it, Coach says every time I touch it, good things happen. And, I mean, every time I touch it, I try to make, the best play. I try to score it, or I try to either get it out to a shooter. Most of the time tonight I scored. But, I mean, it's been one of the big focuses, in practices and stuff. And it's just, it led to the game. So the sad thing is we just didn't come out on top tonight.
Daniel, Reed, obviously a great player, hit 4 out of 4 threes. So that surprised you, his his range and just the threes. You know, they hit 7 more threes than you guys did. How big were the 3-pointers? And that's how they got the lead in overtime.
The 3-pointers that he hit, those were big threes. Those were some real big plays. I mean, he came down and he took his time and he knocked them down because, I mean, we left him wide open. And that's just, you know, that's just our fault right there because, I mean, we got to rotate on him, especially out the ball screen. But, I mean, he came down, he took his time and knocked him down, and that's what hurt us in overtime because he came down, I think they hit like 2 back-to-back threes. I mean, it's just some stuff that we need to fix.
Hey, Daniel, can you speak about the play of Reggie Chaney? I thought maybe his best game since he's been at Arkansas. Y'all really look comfortable out there together in the high-low and then working together down low.
I mean, one thing I was telling Reggie and basically all the other guys that were coming off the bench behind him, I was telling them that, you know, when he touched the ball, they sagged off of him. And, I mean, they left the lane wide open for him. So I just told him whenever he touched the ball, just go straight towards the basket. Either get fouled and get an one or just score the basket. And what he did tonight, I mean, he did some really big things for us. He rebounded for us. He blocked shots for us. I mean, he came out and even guarded Tremont for us. I mean, he kept him contained for a couple of possessions. And, I mean, it's just, you know, he has his times, and I'm pretty sure he's going to have his times throughout the season.
You know, Daniel, Arkansas has always been a good home team. This is 4 losses here in Fayetteville. Now, how tough is that, and how surprising is that? And what do you think you guys got to do to kind of lock down home again?
I would say the main thing we got to do to lock down home is play defense, and another thing is to hit free throws. I mean, for instance, I mean, I missed 2 big free throws today. We got to make sure we hit free throws, especially on the home court, because that's what we got to protect this place. I mean, they can't just come in bud and just do whatever they want to. It's not called one of the hardest places to play in for nothing. So we just got to make sure we play defense, keep guys out of the paint, and don't let them do what they want to do and hit free throws. Those have been the only things that's been taking us out the past couple of games at home.
Daniel, to play a player like Naz Reid, how much extra motivation does that give you?
It gave me a lot of motivation. I mean, they said he was a great player. I mean, they said he was a potential one-and-done player. So, I mean, I had to come out. Yeah.
Welcome back into the Morning Rush. Hey, at Orr Auto Park at 6500 Auto Park Drive in Fort Smith. They're the home of the lifetime engine warranty on all new vehicles, free maintenance for 2 years, and free car washes for the life of the vehicle. Cadillac, Chevrolet, and Nissan at an affordable price. Orr Auto Park also has a huge selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs for you to choose from. Visit OrAutoPark.com where you can score more with Orr. By the way, another quick-hitting headline we didn't get to was Jalen Hurts. A lot of people are wondering what's he going to end up doing. He's got a few visits, a few places. He visited Oklahoma, which means that if he goes to Oklahoma, he will win the Heisman next year. Like, is that's an actual bet? I might bet on that. I'm serious. If there ends up being an odds out there for that, I may bet on it.
The odds would be against that, right, though? To have 3 in a row?
I'm sure they would be, but I'd be hard-pressed to not bet for it.
I understand.
Like, they won 2 in a row from transfer
Why
quarterbacks.
not 3?
Why not 3? Especially in the Big 12 where it's just offense,